So, hi everyone and welcome to my channel. Special warm welcome if you're brand new here. My name's KiwiSimsKate. Kiwi because I'm from New Zealand, Sims because I love The Sims, and Kate because that's my name. Welcome to another speed build here on my channel, and today we're actually doing double houses. And I took inspiration from sort of like British Midlands, maybe like 80s style, not housing estates, but sort of areas where you get very repetitive style. I used to live in the UK. I lived in London, so there were a lot more sort of apartments and townhouses than this style. But I did manage to travel around a little bit. And in fact, I had friends who lived in something not too dissimilar to this, although their one was a bit more of a duplex, like a semi-detached, where you've got actually a join between the two houses. These two I've built separately. And yeah, as I said, it was kind of inspired by a sort of 80s style where they're starting to maybe using some more traditional materials still, so like the brick, but starting to use some more modern fixtures and other details, like, for example, the windows are a bit more of a modern, simple design. Kind of hard to put your finger exactly on the kind of decade of build, but I've seen a lot that are sort of 80s homes that feel a bit like this. So I've done an identical pair of houses on this lot, and I'm building here in Evergreen Harbour, and I can't remember the name of the exact lot I'm building on, but it's the corner one that is directly opposite the quarry. And I love the quarry in Evergreen Harbour. It looks so cool. In fact, I just love this whole world. I think there's so much cool detail. I love the fact that the neighborhoods change over time depending on the choices that your Sims make. So you can have this, it starts off kind of really run down and shabby and lots of rubbish everywhere, and you can turn it into a really vibrant, modern, eco-friendly style neighborhood. And this lot on the corner here, out the front door of these homes, you basically look straight across to the quarry, so it's got a really nice little view as well for your Sims. And what I've done with these two houses is the skeleton of them are identical, but I've only furnished the one that I'm building right now. So I've fully furnished the right house, and then I've laid out the floor plan, the walls and floorings, and kind of the main permanent sort of fittings for the left house. But I don't go through and do that until the very end, I think. The layout is identical as well. Pretty sure I kept the exact same layout. So you can finish the left one however you like, and if you want to keep the right one finished as is, it is ready to move in for your Sim immediately. And if you do have the for rent expansion pack, you could set these up as residential rentals, so you could actually play with two separate families here, renting out each one. Or you just play with one. You could even move the finished one onto a smaller lot if you just wanted one of the houses. It could easily fit on a 20 by 15, I think. I'll put the size of the lot that I've got it on in the description. I think this is probably a 30 by 20, but again, I'm not sure off the top of my head the size of the lot here. But I've got the shape of this right one here pretty much as I want it. I just add a little bump out to the top floor at the back here because I just felt like, I don't know, flat areas of builds kind of irk me. So I often want just a little bit of dimension, a little bit of interest to the shape, and I try and keep really flat sides of houses to a minimum. And even if they are flat, I tend to cover them up in other detailing like windows or just other types of wall decor like the pipes and things like that. They just look a bit boring to me. And there I am just copying over the shape of each house once I've decided on all the wallpapers for the exterior. So the ground floor is a brick, and then the top floor is like a kind of plaster, I guess, plastery, concretey type exterior. And a nice big bay window at the front of each of the houses as well. This is me figuring out the floor plan. I wanted to maximize the room space in here, and I wanted it to feel fairly realistic. So on the top floor, we've got 3 bedrooms and 1 bathroom. Oh, sorry, no, 3 bedrooms. That's right. Yeah, because I decorate one as a nursery for an infant and 2 more kind of adult or kid bedrooms. In fact, I think I decorate one with a teen in mind or a young adult that's just gone off to university, and then obviously a primary bedroom for the owners of the house, owner or owners, and then a nursery with an infant items as well. And the household I had in mind for this, which obviously you feel free to move whatever sim you want to into here, but in my imagination, this household might house a family who had 1 child and didn't plan on having any more children. And then it wasn't until their child was, an older teenager, mid to older teenager, that they actually got pregnant again. Not planned, and hence why there's such a large age gap with the 2 children in terms of like how I've decorated their rooms. The teenager's room is decorated as if they're maybe like thinking about university or about to go off to university. There's lots of uni themed items in there, and then obviously the infant is decorated as an infant's room. So it's quite a wide gap if someone had 2 children that far apart. Not always, obviously, but you might wonder if perhaps the second one was not planned, which, yeah, in my imagination for this family, that's exactly what happened here. But as usual, swap and change out whatever you want to for your gameplay. And if you do use this in your build, in your save, or in your gameplay, I love hearing about people using my builds, because that means that they were useful to someone. And if you do have a family in mind that you move into this house, let me know about them. I love hearing about those stories. Drop me a comment below if you've used this build in your save, or even send me some pictures in the Discord of what your Sims are doing in your household with this build. Inside, I've gone for a somewhat realistic look. It's obviously not fully realistic, but I went for a kind of a British feel in terms of my experience of being in friends' houses and homes over in the UK. And they've got, in the kitchen, for example, quite a long, narrow kitchen, and then there's the washing machine in the kitchen. I tried something with a washing machine where I wanted to kind of put it into a kitchen cabinet, but unfortunately it didn't work. I did play test it before I moved on because I wasn't confident it was going to work, and there was something telling me in the back of my head, I think I've tried this before and I think it didn't work. So I gave it a go. I play tested it, and as expected, it did not function. So in the end, I ended up scrapping that idea, and I just placed the washing machine without anything kind of blocking its path in the kitchen. I even tried not putting it inside a cabinet, but even tried to put a like a shelf just above it, and that didn't work either. So I gave up, and it's fine. I still like it anyway. I like it in the kitchen. It feels very British to me. And in the kitchen, I also use some nice bright colours. I use this bright blue and tile wallpaper with the blue tile on the floor. That tile on the floor I also take through to the like half bathroom toilet, which is just off the dining room. And then in the kitchen as well, I use Parenthood cabinets or counters in this nice honey warm wood tone with the like terrazzo. I think it's terrazzo, right? This countertop. I love these counters. These are probably one of my favorite counters in the game. Maybe my favorite. That's a big call. I do like Dream Home Decorator as well. They're definitely up there. They're one of my favorite for sure. And a fridge that's from, I'm pretty sure that came with the kitchen clutter kit. And I love this fridge because not only does it come in a couple of plain swatches, but it also comes in all these swatches with various decorations and magnets and pictures and things on the fridge door, as if, they're holding on to things and pieces of art that their kids have made, little notes to each other, shopping lists, all of that kind of thing. So it feels very perfect, like it feels perfect for a family home. And then I place a few other kitchen clutter items around. I use quite a few things from the kitchen clutter kit. And what was there was another kitchen. No, I think I am thinking of the kitchen clutter kit. I feel like we got a couple of kitchen related things, but it's just escaping my mind what the other one is called. Maybe I'm thinking of a stuff pack. I can't remember. This grocery bag, I love this item as well. I believe it's interactive and you can actually click on it and order groceries to be delivered. And I want more of those kinds of items in the game. I have a few things that are custom content that I use that are like that. This build is entirely CC free, but in other saves that I sort of play with in my own time, I use a little bit of CC here and there. And there's a few items like that are just small and they look like clutter items, but you can actually interact with them and do things within the game, like functional wall telephones or cookbooks that you click on to cook rather than just having to click on the fridge or the oven as well. At the back of the kitchen, there's a door to go out to what will be a kind of patio area. It's going to be fully fenced in. I get to that right at the very end of the build. But I wanted to put a chair there because it feels sort of realistic to me to have something to sit on just kind of beside the kitchen, near the back door, a surface that isn't maybe necessarily exactly what the family want by the back door, but it's just something they maybe picked up from an op shop, or they just had a spare chair from their old house that they had no use for here because there's no like bar sized counters. So they just found the best place for it, which was at the back door. And maybe the teenager sits back there and chats on their phone or something, or chats to a parent when they're cooking. And then in the dining room, I just put a few decorative items under this window using this cubby shelf, which is, I believe it's modeled after an IKEA shelf. It's from the Comfy Gamer kit. And funnily enough, I just got back from IKEA today. Recently, the very first New Zealand IKEA opened about a month ago, probably now, just over a month ago. It's the first IKEA in New Zealand, and Kiwis just went a little mad for it. And I hadn't planned on going to visit it this early because I knew it'd be so busy, but I'm on break at the moment from work. I go back next week, and I just figure now a lot of people have already gone back to work, so I thought if we go today, get in first thing as soon as it opens. Hopefully it won't be too bad. And it was actually okay when we got there. We got a park pretty easily in the car park, and it wasn't super busy when we arrived, although there were definitely people there already. And when we left, or halfway through going through the store, it filled up pretty quickly, and there were a lot of people there. And then as we were leaving, the restaurant was like, there were people waiting to get into the restaurant to order their food. So I'm glad that we went early. Anyway, that shelving unit just reminded me of that, because it was really fun. It was a fun trip. I've been to IKEA before in other places in the world, but Mr. Kiwi hasn't, so I really enjoyed taking him through the whole IKEA experience. And frustratingly though, there were a few things that were just already sold out and not available that I wanted to buy. I did end up getting one thing though. I got a little set of side drawers for my office that my desktop computer will sit on, so that it's not taking up so much space on my desk. Anyway, I got super sidetracked there. We've just missed the living room, but I wanted to create a really cozy space in there. There's lots of warm colors, yellows and blues and oranges. This is quite a cozy home. There's plenty of color. There's plenty of decoration, but it's not over cluttered, I don't think. There's sort of personality without it being difficult for your Sims to navigate around. And if you've seen any of my other videos before and listened to my voiceover, you'll know that that's generally one of my aims when I'm building, is I don't tend to clutter that much. Whilst I love a bit of decoration and I love to use clutter items, I'm always thinking about making sure my builds are playable, and they're always play tested before I upload them to the gallery as well, because I know, for example, if I downloaded something from the gallery to put in my save and play with, and then I found out that there were all these objects that were stopping my Sims from getting anywhere, I would be pretty frustrated. So I try and avoid that as much as possible. And then upstairs we move on to the bedrooms. I loved using that lime green. We haven't gone to the bathroom yet, but I just thought that was really fun using that kind of vile, almost vomity green color. It's so gross, but I love it. My house is quite old. It was built in the 70s, and most of the house is still really old 70s features. And so I sort of imagined that maybe this house from the 80s still has a few of the things on the inside that would have been there when the house was built. They've probably repainted in places, like the bedrooms upstairs. They've probably put new coats of paint on, and a lot of their furniture will be a bit more modern, but some of the inbuilt things are a little bit more old-fashioned, 80s-ish, 80s, 90s style, with a few more modern accents and redecoration. Then I think I move on to the nursery next. Or do I do the landing? There, in the landing and in the entranceway, I use a wallpaper from the Mudroom kit, which is one of the more recent kits that we got. It's a creator kit, which I'm just so grateful that they started working with custom content creators to make kits, because since they did that, the kit quality, I think, has really improved. I still like a lot of the older kits, but I think A, the quality is always good, and B, I think it's just, I really like seeing Simmers who create their own content being able to work with the official team. I think it's really cool. I know that having been a Simmer who got to work with the official team on Adventure Awaits to build some of the lots from that expansion pack, it's like a dream come true, pinch me moment. So I love that for them as well. I just also love pretty much all of the custom content creators they've worked with the kits. are creators that I know, and I have content of theirs anyway, so I was very excited to get some of their content officially in the game as well. This is the teen room that I was mentioning earlier. I went for this kind of deeper blue vibe with a few kind of brighter pops of colour here and there. And instead of using a proper double bed in here, I placed 2 single beds together, which is a pretty common trick where you get more of a double bed look rather than a queen or king bed. I find a lot of the actual double beds in game are a little large for like a teenager or something. And I know, for example, I never had a double bed until I was probably close, like 17 or something. And it was a double as opposed to a queen. Most of my childhood and my teen years, I think I just had a single bed. So I smushed these 2 singles together. I really liked using the swatch as well because it was the Brichester University swatch with the llama on it. And as I said earlier, my imagination was telling me that this child is probably in their last year of high school and they're preparing to go off to university. They're, doing all their last exams. They've got all of their uni merch on the walls. They're really hoping they'll get into Brichester. Maybe even they're starting to do some like campus tours or something and figuring out if they want to live at home and study or move to campus. So I went quite hard on the Brichester merch in this room. And then also just a little bit of extra high school clutter type items. I thought this set of drawers worked really well in here as well, just in that cream colour, because there was already a lot of dark colour in this room anyway, so I brightened it up with a lighter set of drawers, and then just a whiteboard on the wall as well. In the landing here above the stairs, I placed a grandfather clock and just a bit of artwork, and then I basically kept the rest of the landing quite simple. I can't remember if I put a rug down even. I might have even not bothered with a rug on the landing, just kept it really simple. You can always add more decoration if you want. And then in the teenagers' room as well, I thought about adding a TV and a game cube. And that game cube is actually from, I believe, one of the events that we had, where you just had to do a few things in the game, and you get free items, and it's kind of like a retro game cube. Then the last room in the house is did I do the bathroom already? Yes, I did the bathroom upstairs, and this is the nursery / infant's room. Just a few cute items in here, a lot of pastel colours. We're somewhat limited with our children's rooms, although there's the storybook nursery kit, which has got some amazing items as well, that give you a bit more of a wider range of decor styles, I guess. But this room is quite small, but it is playable. So there's a changing table, there's a crib, there's a rocking chair, there's a little set of bookshelves on the wall, which are interactive. So you click on them and grab books to read to your child. And other than that, I think everything else is just decorative. The bin that's attached to the changing table, the rubbish bin, is interactive as well. And then just a few decor items on the walls, and of course a plant in the corner, because what goes better in a corner than a plant? I think after the nursery, I moved over to the second house. So just copy over the layout. As I said, I copy the layout, I think, exactly. I even use the same floors, but I think I change up a few of the colour swatches to give it just a little bit of difference. And in the between the dining and kitchen, I might not actually add that half wall that I do in the right house. And I go for a few slightly different wallpapers on the interior as well. I just didn't want it to be exactly identical. And then obviously you can update it if you wanted to use this specific build on the left. As I said, I think because there's a family living in the right house, to me it's sort of indicative of what they would have changed over time in the house, renovations and updating things as time goes on and styles change and their preferences change. So I do actually add that half wall between the dining and the kitchen. I think it opens that space up a bit better, because otherwise the kitchen does feel a little too isolated from the dining room, and I like that half wall where you can sort of yell over at people from the kitchen to the dining and vice versa. And instead of adding the fridge that has all the decoration on it, I use exactly the same fridge from the same kit, but I use the plain version that doesn't have, it doesn't look like it's lived in, obviously. And change up swatches for the counters and the cabinets as well. I nearly used the same sink, but then I realized that sink, unfortunately, only has swatches with objects inside it, as if they're, in the middle of doing dishes or about to do the dishes, which is kind of annoying. I wish we got at least one swatch of that sink without any dishes inside it, but oh well. So I swapped out the sink, so it was a more simple sink that didn't have any additional decoration inside. And then the layout upstairs is exactly the same as well, and similar concept. I use a bit more kind of plain wallpapers up there as well, as if no one's redecorated that house yet and it's still kind of stuck in time when it was built in the 1980s. I love using this new carpet as well. I've used this quite a lot recently in bedrooms. I used to never use carpet in The Sims because I hated it. But recently I've been really enjoying using this newer base game carpet that we got in one of the updates not that long ago. It's a really kind of tight knit carpet. It feels a bit more modern and fresh than the carpets we used to have. So I'm very happy to have that in the game, and now I really enjoy using carpet in the bedrooms. And to me it feels a lot more realistic because we were house hunting earlier this year and many houses have carpet in bedrooms, despite what I would like. But a lot of houses I know at least have got kind of a mixture of wooden floors and carpet or tile and carpet. So it feels a lot more realistic to me. Now the exterior is, I think, the last thing I do. So in the front here, I use some live edit objects to create a little fence or stone wall at the front, and I basically duplicate it on both houses again as if they just haven't changed anything to that part of the build, although I made the left front garden a bit more simple and plain than the garden on the right. The garden on the right feels like the family that lives there has probably updated a few things, planted a few of their own flowers and plants, and the one on the left is a lot more kind of simple. I considered using the hydrangeas, but I did feel like I use those a bit too much, so I think I take them out entirely, and instead I go for these cute little yellow flowers mixed with some round bushes, as well as quite a tidy, very put together front yard. I don't know if I really saw this house as a particularly big gardening household. They like their house to look nice from the front, so they take care of the weeding out there, but they don't really do a lot of gardening per se. So they've chosen kind of simple to care for plants out the front. Out the back, both yards are fenced in, and they've got gates to head out into the kind of centre there, and I pulled out a live edit car as well, and this little hopscotch, which is interactive as well. So screenshots are coming up shortly. Thank you so much for watching this build. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe if you're not already. You can follow me on KiwiSimsKate across streaming. That's Twitch, TikTok, YouTube, also over on my Instagram, Blue Sky, or Twitter. Thanks so much for watching this video. Take care out there. Bye.